I have like 150 pounds to lose in addition to battling depression and anxiety.
Yep.
So I'm wondering how exactly to set kind of some healthy boundaries while taking care of myself while paying off all this debt.
Sounds to me like you're drowning. Hola, me llamo Juan. This is the Dr. John Delony Show. We're so glad you're here. So glad you're here. We're talking about mental health, education, relationships, love, loss, and all those things they sing about in the 80s metal ballads. If you want to be on the show, go to johndelony.com/ask or give us a shout and leave a message at 1-844-693-3291. Super cool. Super cool. So I get notes and cards and letters and owl telegrams or pigeon telegrams. I don't get any of those. Whatever. People let me know through the internets mostly that they love the show and they love telling people about it. And that there's always fun trying to describe this show because it's like a mental health show and it's a show about like how to live better lives. And it's a show about marriage and relationships and dating and sex and whatever. But also there's like a lot of diarrhea jokes and a lot of inside baseball and a lot of movie lyrics. Like how do we describe this thing? So the team here, a group of incredible ones and zeros kids. Like they're great at videoing, and I know there's words for this stuff, and editing, and all of those things. They created the greatest show trailer of all time. It's so great. I watched it and I cheered. Here's how good it was. I showed my wife, and I've never sent an episode ever to her. Ever. Why? She doesn't super care for it. But hey, I send her this, and she watched it and she goes, that's really good. That's like she brought like a high school marching band into our living room and just started banging things around. And like that was a celebration parade in my home. And she said, that looks pretty good. It passed my wife's test. It's really great. If someone says, hey, what's this show about? Or you want to send this to somebody, this is the key. So check it out. Here it is, the new show trailer to the Dr. John Delony Show.
So what's the show about? Oh, man. That's hard, brother.
What's up? Hey, what are you doing? This is John with the Dr. John Delony Show. What's happening?
We say the show's about mental health and relationships, how to live a well life.
Listen, take yourself out to dinner. It is rare that I hear a new one, and that's a new one, so well done.
So the show can go anywhere at any time.
On today's show, we talk to a woman who's in love with a hypochondriac and it's so hard, to a dad who's trying to teach body positivity to his young daughters, dealing with big T trauma and family history, to a sister whose brother-in-law has screwed up everything, and we talk to a young mom whose husband keeps making sexual jokes around the kids. Whoa! Stay tuned.
People ask me all the time, man, how'd you learn how to do this? To take those calls and get to it real fast and make some jokes and bring the room up? Truth is, I've been doing that a long, long time.
I got 2 PhDs. I've been doing this for a couple of decades, and I'm still learning every day. Still trying to figure it out as I walk alongside people.
The guests are incredible. They're fantastic. So it's fun to have guests, man, who have done a bunch of fancy stuff. I love it. The heart of the show is callers just like you.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was angry growing up. He never...
That's all you gotta say. That's all you gotta say.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta say. Your dad is intentionally disregarding your requests for how you can best be loved.
Yeah.
And that disregard is violence.
I don't want to try to take the kids from her, but I also feel like I'm responsible for their safety as their dad. And
all right, so listen to me carefully, okay?
Yeah.
Your instinct is right, and I heard you say it at the end there, and I love your heart. I don't want to take these kids from their mother. And what I would say to you is she is screaming for somebody to please take these kids from me before I hurt them. Have you ever heard me lie to anybody?
No.
Okay, I'm not starting today. It's not your fault.
You cannot do life alone. You can't heal from hurt on your own. And that's what this show's for, man. And if you will put in the work, if you'll give me a call, if you'll do the hard work, you will change your family tree. And it starts with you deciding you're worth being well.
All right, so there it is. That's it. It's pretty rad. And thank you for checking it out. Please subscribe to the show. The show's continuing to grow so much, and I'm so grateful for you. subscribe to the show, whether it's on podcast, whether it's on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/John Delony, and you can send that show trailer out to everybody, put it on the internets, and it will cycle out there and do what things on the internets do, whatever. So let's go to our first call. Let's go to Christina, right down the street. Christina in Nashville, Tennessee. What's up, Christina?
Hi, Dr. John. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Remarkable. So what's up? How can I help you?
Wonderful. Well, so before I dive into my question, let me just give a quick background. I'm a person who's dealt with major anxiety in the past. Started 9 years ago when I was pregnant with our third child. And so I had to go on medication then. I've been through a lot of therapy and got to the point where really I feel like I was able to rewire my brain and just learn all of the things. I got your book, Redefining Anxiety, and it was kind of after I'd gone through this process, and it was just like, yes, this is totally the pathway to freedom from that. Even went through COVID without spiraling from anxiety, which was amazing. So I was kind of surprised recently when the war with Ukraine started. It just kind of sucker punched me and took me back to some of those major places of anxiety. But I guess what my question is I feel like a lot of my anxiety used to be about things that weren't a real possibility. But with this war, I feel like they're more like rational fears, if that makes sense. And so my question is, how does a rational person prepare for potentially grim outcomes or a future without going off the deep end? Because I feel like that can happen really quickly. Because of my history, of let's move to the country, let's store guns, let's store food, let's just go way off the deep end.
Right.
Where's the middle ground? And yeah, that's my question.
So, Christina, do you realize by articulating the question like you just did, how far you've grown?
Yeah. I'm so grateful.
The work you have done.
Yeah.
I know you're grateful for it. The work you have done is incredible.
Yeah.
Because
Thank
what
you.
you just articulated perfectly, a real world example of my body's feeling this.
Mm-hmm.
I know reality's here. How do I deal with the gap between the two?
Yeah.
Dude. And
Exactly.
I don't want to fill it up with guns and meats full of freezer and bullets and, think of underground bunkers. And so what do I do with that gap? Dude, you are so far down the road. It's incredible. What you've done is you've created a new life for yourself and for your family.
Yeah.
So the Ukraine thing did this to me. But before we go down this road, I blamed Ukraine. And it is real. The war is real. The potential for spillover is real. The connection, like the playbook, if you look back in history at some of the other major wars, like how it all tracks, right?
Right.
But if I'm honest with myself, that was simply the match that lit the kindling and gasoline that I'd set up over a period of time. So do you have major life stuff going on?
Well, I'm pregnant with our fifth child, so I know I've got the hormones.
Forget the hormones. Number one, I can't. I'm not a hormone doctor, so I can't speak to that. And two, I'm not going to talk about that because I'll get in trouble. But you're having another kid.
Yeah.
So you what number?
5.
You have 1,000 kids.
Pretty much.
Wow. Okay, so you've got 4. What are the ages?
12, 10, 8, then jump down to 2, and here's the buddy for the 2-year-old.
Heyo.
Coming.
And here's the buddy. We had you because we had dreams. We had you just because. It seemed smarter than some sort of doodle, right?
Oh man.
Way to go. So, okay. So my guess is that your body has a narrative. And the narrative can speak to any number of things. But with a baby comes a lot of stress. It comes stress on your marriage. It comes stress on your physical body. You have memories of when your body is for a year or more or 2 years is not your own. And if you had a 12 and 10 and an 8, your body wasn't yours for 6 or 8 years, right?
Right.
It's always, it's a utilitarian, and then you got some husband pawing at you. Like, it just, because it's not yours, right? And how do I
Right.
find myself in
Right.
that is a recipe for an anxious alarm to go off.
Mm.
We're not safe, we're not okay, we're not safe, we're not okay. So then you
Yeah.
fast forward, you get your life back, you start healing. And a lot of the healing feels like I'm doing all this hard work, which you are, but also your life is flattening out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You and your husband get in some sort of rhythm. You got a house full of 3 kids, and now you have a COVID baby, which gave you a great distraction.
It did.
Now you've got a potential World War III buddy baby, right?
Yeah.
And so here we are. So the first thing I want you to do when you start feeling anxious now is I want you to ask your body, what are you trying to protect me from? What are you trying to tell me? And it could be any number of things. I blamed the last month or two a lot on Ukraine stuff. The reality is, for the last couple of months, I've isolated myself. I've not hung out with other people. And I am a guy who teaches about relationships for a living. And I've all but, I can't tell you a time I've hung out with just a group of guys. Months. I've been on the road all over the place. The second thing is I just put a book out, or I'm about to, and I am feeling a sense of pressure that I've never understood before. I've never even come close to this, right? And it's like being, it's like a nude photo. I would much rather that's not an impressive photo. But I think I would rather that than this book because it's so exposing, okay? And so I blamed Ukraine, but the reality is I've created an ecosystem that has kept me from being safe. And so I would challenge you to go back and look at do I have my weekly meeting with my girlfriends? Do me and my husband have a time every day, every week that we are connecting together? Not sexually, just connecting, right? So you hear what I'm saying? Like, we're going to go back to these fundamentals and basics. Most of the time, we get off those things. And so look back at your life. Tell me where we are on that track.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm a homeschool mom. I homeschool my kids. So by nature, that creates kind of a isolating environment of sorts. I mean, we're very well connected, but still.
Homeschooling is super isolating.
Yes. Yes and no. I mean, by nature it is. We do have a great community of people, but I did go through, of course, the first trimester being isolated because I was so sick and in bed, and I don't think I've reconnected like we were before that happened.
Did the shame fairy show up and remind you how much of your kids' lives you were missing? And God, just get up, and your husband's going to get annoyed. And
that's a really hard season when you feel pretty useless. You're just laying there like a blob. Trying to
That's such a lovely image that you've concocted of yourself. Christina, you're not just laying there like a blob. God almighty. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to, and I'm going to address the second half of your question because it's really important. I want you to tell your husband, hey, I want to reconnect. And I have felt out of my body. And here's some of the stories I've been telling myself. That's the language I use in my house. The story I'm telling myself is this. I got that from the great Brene Brown, and it has saved my marriage, okay? But tell him, here's the story, that I'm just a blob laying around, that I'm that I'm only useful for educating these dumb kids while you're off front. And here's a couple of things I need. I need you to hold my hand. We're not doing it. I need you or maybe we are, like whatever you need, but I need physical touch again. I need you to do the bedtimes twice a week. I need to once a week go with my girlfriends, and we're just going to go be silly, and I'm going to watch them drink wine, whatever the thing is. But plug back into the life-giving practices, and generally speaking, the alarms will begin to wind themselves down.
Okay.
And if they don't, then talk to your OBGYN about, say, hey, when I go through pregnancy, I experience some significant anxiety, and they'll walk through you just like last time. And it's not you're not failing anything. That's awesome. Now you have a name for it, and you can go right to the source. That's all good. The second thing is, and you asked a great question, how do you be rational during times of irrationality?
Right.
Beautiful question. Remember that anxiety is not a rational response. It comes from the irrational part of our brain, the part of our brain that just says, you will stay alive at all costs. And in fact, when those alarms go off, it unhooks or unplugs the rational part of our brain.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why my wife went to visit some friends in Missouri that happens to be the place where I've bought meat in the past. Now I get my meat shipped from Greensbury Farm. I love all that Greensbury crew. They're incredible. They send stuff, but I told my wife, hey, go ahead and grab another 150 pounds of, at this boy's ranch, of just beef. And she said, no, we're not doing that. We have incredible seafood and beef that's shipped to our home now, and we've got so much in our freezer that, right? So I found myself, it sounded rational, it sounded smart, but I realized, oh, this is coming from another part of my brain, which leads me to this.
Yeah.
In moments of irrational, you train yourself, you set up a foundation that you're okay, and you have other people. So here's the quick path here.
Okay.
I'm going to train myself to only spend a certain amount of time on the internet so that when something for real happens, I've got capacity. I'm going to train myself to be intentional about looking around and saying, Greensbury sends food to my home. I'm okay. We have a giant garden for our vegetable needs. We are good. I've got a grocery store. We are fine. I'm going to practice that so that when my brain spins out, I've got thoughts I can lean back on. I'm not going to absorb all the news and the this and the YouTube channels where they're just not telling you the truth. I'm not doing that, okay? Yeah. And I'm going to have a foundation of exercise and taking care of myself and meeting with my friends. And the final one is I'm going to have people in my life that I go, is this true? Is this real? Is that fair?
That's huge. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the conversation I've had with my husband. I said, I feel like I have a million ideas of how we can prepare. And I said, but I just really want to see if there are any that resonate with you, because you're not you don't get messed with this whole anxiety thing. Like, he's so level. He's just like this level anchor.
Oh, you married so well. So here's the statement I would pass along in your house. I would come up with 2 different statements. From this point forward, I'm going to start saying the story I'm telling myself is, and when you're 7 months pregnant and you wake up and you can't move, and I want you to tell him, the story I'm telling myself is that I'm not pretty and you're not going to love me. Say it out loud. Keep the secret and don't keep the secret, let it out. Say it and let him respond to that. The second one is, I'm going to start asking you, is this real? I'm just going to ask you, is this real? And he can go, no, it's not. And you will commit to learning to trust him. And that sounds hard. Is it real? Is World War III happening? Is this real? Maybe. But there's not a lot we can do about it in Nashville, Tennessee right now. We can A, B, and C. And just so we're clear, if there's nuclear bombs falling from the sky, your backyard garden's not going to be a huge, right? So we'll solve that problem for another time. But is it real? And this is the story I'm telling myself. Those 2 things can really reconnect you when things around you are irrational and you're trying to stay anchored in reality. Good for you. I'm so proud of you, Christina. You're amazing. We'll be right back. Hey, John Delony here. I talk about how important sleep is for your mental health all the time on my show. I was just talking about it with my producer, Kelly. She told me she's normally burning up at night and her husband's always freezing. I bet that sounds familiar, right? But they got a Dream Cloud mattress a few weeks back, and for the first time in almost 20 years, they're both sleeping comfortably through the night, and she's being nicer to me at work. Good folks, I can't say this enough. Prioritizing sleep is one of the best things you can do for your mental health. And listen, good sleep starts with a world-class mattress. And Dream Cloud, my partners in sleep, are making it easy. They're running their biggest offer ever exclusively for our listeners. $499 in accessories and an additional $250 cash discount. That's a total of $749 in accessories and savings. I'm talking pillows, mattress protector, luxury sheets, all of it. You heard it from me and even from Kelly, and about 20,000 5-star reviews online. You gotta get DreamCloud Sleep mattresses. Go to dreamcloudsleep.com/Delony or dreamcloudsleep.com and enter promo code Delony to get your new mattress. All right, we are back. Box of Cracker Jack. Let's go to Ashley in Omaha. What's up, Ashley?
Hi, Dr. John. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. What's up?
So my question is I am on baby step 2. I'm paying off debt.
All right, so
Dave Ramsey.
let me pause right here. For our listeners who don't know what that is, she's following the Ramsey Solutions Get Out of Debt plan, which is a 7-step, the baby steps we call it. Step 1 is save up $1,000, and step 2 is pay off all of your debts, smallest to largest, except for your mortgage. And so you are in baby step 2. Are you grinding it?
I'm grinding it.
How much debt you got?
Except I have about $30,000 in debt
What is it?
in loans.
Student loans? Oh, gosh.
Sally Mae, right?
Oh, man. All right, so you're grinding it. So
I'm grinding it and I'm killing it. My question and my concern, though, is that I'm starting to run into some health issues, physical, mental health, and I have like 150 pounds to lose in addition to battling depression and anxiety.
Yep.
So I'm wondering how exactly to set kind of some healthy boundaries while taking care of myself while paying off all this debt.
How did we get from 7-year-old Ashley to here? You've got a lot going on in your heart.
Oh, goodness. Yes, I do.
It was hard for you to say, I've got 150 pounds to lose and mental health challenges. That was hard to say out loud.
Yeah.
That was really a brave thing. I could hear it in your voice. Walk me from 7-year-old Ashley till now.
7-year-old Ashley. Let's see. 7-year-old Ashley was just a child, always kind of struggled with her weight, always being made fun of. I've struggled with my weight since I was little, but I guess the big weight challenges started when I was in high school.
Okay. When you get a childhood of you're not beautiful and we're making fun and I can't believe you're wearing that and all the noises and mean, awful things that elementary and middle school kids say to each other. And
yeah, not only that, but I'm also on the autism spectrum, so it kind of made things a lot worse.
Absolutely, right? So then you've got connection challenges, connecting with other people, and that makes it even worse. Good grief, man, you got a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have a supportive network?
I do.
Mom and dad still in the picture?
Mom and dad are very much still in the picture.
You said that, though. It's not, I very much still have a tumor. Are you glad they're in your life or no?
Oh, I'm glad that they're in my life. It's just kind of
that was a bad question. That was a bad. I didn't ask that question wrong. If you sat down with them tonight and said, "I'm going to embark on 4 big things at once. I'm going to lose 150 pounds. I'm going to pay off everything I own. I am going to ultimately land a new job, and I'm going to take control of my mental health." Would they get tears in their eyes and say, you will have 2 cheerleaders, one running ahead of you and one running behind you, and we've got your back on this deal?
Oh, absolutely.
They would?
Yeah.
Okay, so why are they making your life hard right now?
Well, it's hard for me right now just because I live with them, but I've also had to step up as a role of a caregiver for my mom.
Oh, gosh. You're also a caregiver for your, what does that mean?
So she has some health issues right now, too, where she can hardly walk, and they're looking at potential surgery in the future, so I've been having to kind of take more care of her and do stuff around the house for her and my dad.
How old are you?
I'm 30.
Why has this become your job to be their caretaker?
I figure I'm not married. I don't have kids. I figure that, I'm their daughter and they want what's best for me. And I just want to take care of them, and just certain things that I've seen with my experiences in my life, I've come to that decision that I'm okay with being their caretaker.
Sounds to me like you're drowning. Sounds to me like you're slowly suffocating.
I do feel like I'm suffocating.
Yeah. You may have convinced yourself or forced yourself, but as the great Vanderkolk says, your body's keeping the score.
Yeah.
And there's something codependent, there's something unhealthy about the relationship and interaction here. And wanting to take care of your mom is a beautiful, wonderful thing. But if you do it and you die in the process, you've not helped.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've lived a life of, I'm trying to disappear. I'm going to hide in plain sight. I'll hide behind my weight. I'll hide behind my fill in the blank. And this is a way you can help, even though helping is killing you. What I'd love to see you do, I'd love to see you look in the mirror and say, what do I actually want out of this one crazy life?
That's exactly how I feel.
So can I ask you, what do you want? Like, snap your fingers and you're down 150 pounds. And you owe nobody anything, nothing. And you've got a new car that you paid for with cash. It's not new. It's like a 2019 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do?
Oh, gosh. What would I do if I was debt-free and if I had all the things in the world?
Hold on. Stop.
Oh, sorry.
Can I challenge you real quick?
Sure.
The way you just said all the things in the world makes this sound like it's Cinderella. And it's not. This is just getting your life back. This isn't a fantasy. It's not a myth. This is right in front of you.
Yeah.
And you, my sister Ashley, are worth laughing and being loved and feeling good when you wake up and your knees not hurting and your neck not hurting. And every time you get that email from Sally Mae, your heart drops again. When your boss treats you like crap and you think, I'm worth more than, you're worth all of that. And this is not a Pixar movie. This is your life. What would you do? What would you do?
I don't know. I mean, I've never really thought that far in advance.
Okay. I bet if you and I spend an hour or two together, you could walk me back through some things that you think are pretty normal about how you grew up and how you were treated, and that I would probably be looking at you with my mouth wide open. You've seen and experienced a lot, haven't you?
I have.
You have. And people have hurt you, haven't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So the hard path here is saying this stuff happened, and yet I'm worth more. So much more.
Yeah.
So here's how you prioritize your health. You look in the mirror today and you say, I'm worth feeling good. I'm worth my dad getting up and he can help his wife because he's a grown man. My mom has struggles and we can negotiate. I might be able to help, but I'm going to make a plan to at least consider moving out. I'm going to continue to pay off my debts in the baby steps way, the same way I'm going to be about changing the way I treat my body because I'm worth being loved. And right now you hate yourself and you treat your body in a similar way. Is that fair?
It's very fair.
Okay. No more today. I'm not going to let anybody hate Ashley because Ashley's awesome. because you got a great, great heart. And nobody's giving you any tools to show the world how that thing works. Okay?
Okay.
I think after 30 years, I think it's going to be very, very difficult to impossible to do this on your own. You've been in counseling, you said?
Yes.
Has that been effective or no? I'm guessing not.
Not really, and I'm trying to find another counselor.
Okay. So I'm going to do a couple of things for you today, okay? Today is just the start. Today is when we turn the lights on, okay? And your homework assignment is this. I'm going to trade you a lot of cool stuff for your homework assignment. Fair?
That's fair.
Your homework assignment is I'm going to write Ashley a letter, and it's going to have 3 parts to it. Part number 1, here's what happened. Part number 2, owning where we are right now. I owe $30,000 in student loans, probably for a degree I'm not even using. I'm 30 and I live with my parents. We didn't even talk about your romantic situation or anything like that. I am dealing with a highly codependent set of parents who are expecting this and that, and I've just talked myself into X, Y, or Z, and my body's falling apart on me, and my mental health is really struggling. I'm isolated and alone. And the third part of this letter is going to be you saying, here's what this could look like. Because if you don't have a place that you're going, you're not going to get anywhere. If you don't have a picture of, I want you to dream as clear as possible. The house will look like this. The job will look like this. The person I'm dating will look like this. The car will look like this. My bank account will look like this. And I'm not doing this in some like manifest. No, that's nonsense. I'm saying you've got to have a picture that you are going to walk towards. And you saying, I've never even thought about that. You're worth a beautiful picture. And if you will do that, I want you to write this down, and I want you to either mail it to me or email it to me. Okay? That's your accountability. Cool?
Okay. That sounds good.
For that, I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to give you a year subscription to Ramsey Plus. Okay? That comes with the Ramsey Solutions app that for tracking every dollar app that tracks all of your expenses. It's everybody around here uses it. It's incredible. It's the best one on the market. It also has all of the financial peace videos that walks you through all the baby steps if you actually want to get out of debt. And it's got all kind of other stuff in there. Tons of encouraging things, questions, all that kind of stuff. You got to use it though, but I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to give you a year subscription, okay? And I'm going to send you a copy of my new book, Own Your Past, Change Your Future. That's what we're talking about. You got to own what happened, own reality, and then make a plan for what comes next. And that book will walk you step by step by step through it, okay? The third thing I'm going to send you is my friend Ken's book, Paycheck to Purpose. I want you to start dreaming about what kind of work you can contribute to in this world. And maybe it's taking care of your mom, but if it's taking care of your mom, then your dad's going to pay you a salary. Okay?
Okay.
You're not going to be a free stay-at-home nurse for your family.
Okay.
Cool?
That sounds good.
And my hope the next time I talk to you, you are 6 inches taller. Not in reality, but in the way you talk to and look at and love Ashley. Will you say that out loud? I'm worth being loved?
I am worth being loved, and I can't wait to call you back after I've done all this and give you an update.
Yes, Ashley! I love it. I love it. We'll be right back. Have you ever thought about how a lot of us would drop anything to help somebody else, but we often don't give ourselves the same level of care? We spend time, energy, money on everyone else. But when it comes to making time for vacation, for exercise, for talking with a mentor, for sleep, even going to therapy, we don't do it. And we don't even realize it. We don't even think about it. You are worth it. This month, BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you that you are important, that you are worth being well, and therapy is a super important way you can show up for yourself. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, even live chat sessions with your therapist. You don't even have to see anyone on a camera if you don't want to. It's more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Today, Dr. John Delony Show listeners get 10% off their first month. So decide to invest in yourself. You are worth it. And go to betterhelp.com/Delony to get 10% off. That's betterhelp.com/Delony. All right, hey, we are back. I want to touch back real quick on that last call. She called and said, hey, I'm out of debt and how do I deal with my health? And obviously the conversation got much, much deeper. But debt is, again, for those of you, if you don't know, my boss is Dave Ramsey. I co-host the show with him. He's been on a crusade to get people to live lives not in debt for years and years, decades and decades. In the new book, I talk about, I've been interested in the psychology of debt and this idea that a cornerstone of mental health, a cornerstone of being well, is autonomy, freedom. And I've come to believe, in fact, I'm partnering with the Research One University, I think I've talked about on the show, to do this study, because I'm going to get some data behind it. But I've come to believe that you cannot have mental health, physical health, if you owe people money. And here's why. If you owe people money, your body knows that you are not safe because you do not have autonomy. You don't have freedom. The bank owns you. The car lease, you can't stop working. You can't deal with a death in the family. You can't deal with any sort of margin because next month that payment shows up. And next month that payment shows up, and the month after that, and the month after that. And so there's this widening gap in our mental and physical health, and I've never seen anybody connect it to debt, and I think it is intimately linked. And so I talked about this in the new book. By the way, it's the last week for pre-order. Last week. The book is selling like crazy. Dude, I'm so grateful, so blessed. Last week for pre-order, Own Your Past, Change Your Future. In that book, I talk about debt. And it's this story that we've told ourselves, and this is a new story, a brand new story, just a few decades old, that debt will save us. Personal debt used to be a curse, the end of time. The idea of spending more than you earned, not to mention significantly more, was insane. It was irresponsible. Everybody knew it. Debt was slavery. It was a strategy for trapping entire segments of a population, and everybody knew it. And by the way, it still is. It is a planned way to trap a population of people. Why do you think your phone companies want you on a payment plan on your phone? Because you never ask how much it costs, and they can charge you more for it. And they will keep you going and keep you going and keep you going until the phone's about dead, because they have their screw you button that they hit every 2 years. I don't know how it works, but it just ends the phone. And then you got to get another one. When I went in and bought mine with cash, every time the person says, I've never had anyone try to buy it with cash. And I said, I just don't want to owe y'all money. I want this to be my phone, not a phone that I'm just kind of getting from y'all. And that's just one tiny, tiny segment. Sometime after World War II, the story began to change. Debt became seen as a tool or an opportunity. Store credit, credit cards, personal loans, they all popped up in general sentiment. And the general sentiment turned into, why wait until tomorrow when I can have it today? We're talking 50 to 100 years, 50 to 70 years. This is not a long time in the world history. And you fast forward today, and working now to pay for something you ate last month is normal. Modern households with at least one credit card carry over $8,000 of credit card debt from year to year. That's turned into budgetless living, self-disciplineless living. Owing people money is crippling. It causes anxiety and depression, which are about a lack of control and autonomy, as we talked about. In the book, I unpack this story and many other ones. But listen, if you're struggling with anxiety or mental health, if you're struggling with, I'm out of control, a great place to start is, who owns me? Who owns me? And that can be my mother-in-law. That can be Toyota Financial Services. That can be an abusive spouse, a toxic work environment, or my mortgage. Where am I not free? Whew. That usually is the pulsing alarm for your anxiety. So, own your past, change your future. Go to johndelony.com. Check it out. Let's get one more call in. Oh, I didn't know it was in Oklahoma. Fine. What's up, Kyle in Oklahoma?
Hey, John. How are you?
I was great until I had to call an Oklahoman, but I'm just kidding. How's it going, man?
At least it's not a Houstonian, right?
Boo. Dude, if H-Town would have been awesome. No, when you're in Texas, when you grow up in Texas, Oklahoma's basically southern Canada, and it's where most of Al-Qaeda lives, so it's all good. So what's up, dude?
Hey, so my wife and I have been married for about 5 years. We each have a child from a previous relationship, and we've got a foster daughter as well. Calling about our middle son. He's my stepson, my wife's biological son, but I guess it was about 4 months ago. He was in his last week before Christmas break, and his father was arrested for child abuse. We got a phone call from DHS while he was at school, and it was probably a week before we even had a chance to talk to his father again. And, he just kind of said, the lawyer's advising that, cut off contact with his son for right now while they're doing their investigation and whatnot. And I guess our question is two-part, really. It's, do we kind of bring this up to our 8-year-old son and let him kind of know what's going on? Or do we wait for him to start asking questions, and then just what kind of words do we use when we're trying to explain what happened here to him?
Man, the little boy's lucky to have you. That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
And thanks for being proactive, man. What a mess. So is it physical, sexual abuse?
Physical abuse. Our son's 2 stepsisters were involved. Our son wasn't involved, but obviously he's been going over there in that kind of environment and stuff.
So, broad recommendation. Every kid needs the bathing suit talk. The talk about adult touch and kid touch and private parts and what's good touch and what's not good touch. And the only people on all of the earth that will ever touch your body or that can ever see parts of your body are a doctor and mom and dad. Every kid needs that. So that's sexual abuse. And a safe place to, mom and dad need to not say things like, and again, I'm teaching to the audience here, not to you. But every mom and dad don't need to say, now, if anything happens, you just come tell us, okay? That's not how that works. Parents have to engage that conversation because the shame is so overwhelming for a child, right? So that's sexual abuse. 99% chance your son has seen this, if not experienced it. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's more than fair. Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's a very honest, direct, not graphic conversation that lets him know. Because what he's going to do is he's going to slowly start to put together that he's not seeing dad and y'all are going to be the bad guys.
Right.
And all kids understand that they are both mom and both dad, that's part of them. And so this conversation is going to be not that your dad did this awful, evil thing, because to an 8-year-old, then that means part of me is awful and evil. It's going to be, it is that he did an evil thing, not that he's awful and evil.
Right.
Got it? So, because we're not going to connect identity to this 8-year-old little boy, because he's going to say, well, then I'm capable of this type of evil. Have y'all had conversations about abuse your son has suffered in the past?
No. And up till, we didn't really have reason to suspect it. We knew dad was, kind of short-tempered and things like that. This was pretty out of character for him.
Okay. So did he, put into context, did he shake kids? Did he punch a kid? Like, what happened? Throw a kid up against a wall?
So, yeah, I don't know. I know mom, our son's stepmom, so dad's wife, works night shift, and kind of all the story we got was basically she came home, the girls had bruises on them. She sent them to school like that, and then the school got involved. And we really hadn't had a chance to talk to his dad and stepmom about, we don't really have their side of the story.
Okay. Stepmom should also not to be permitted to be around those kids either, ever again.
Well, yeah, they're actually going through a divorce, so that's. But
that's great, but she doesn't need to be around those kids. The fact that she didn't ring the bell, that she pawned that off on the school is nonsense. Those girls looked to her for help, and she didn't provide it. The school had to bail those kids out.
She may or may not be in contact with the kids right now. I don't know.
Well, I hope she's not. I hope she has no access to those kids at all, because she failed them. She let them down.
Right. She got charged too. So, I mean, I'm sure there's something in place there.
Good. So my conversation with my 8-year-old would be this. We need to have a serious conversation with you, and I would do it in a place that's safe, and I would do it as much as possible with physical touch involved. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The conversation would be very short and very direct and very honest, which is, your dad got in trouble. He may have, we're not sure, but he may have hurt some people when he got angry. And we're not going to be able to see him for a little while. And I would let my son ask any questions, say, I don't have a lot of answers. We don't know everything for sure. But what we do know is he's in trouble right now. And your sisters are safe, and the police are involved. And when we know more, we will let you know. If it comes out that this is true, and this happened, and Dad beat them up, etc., then the conversation will be an age-appropriate, not using words like abuse and violence. It will be, your dad hit your little sisters with a closed fist on their legs, and that's never okay for a grown-up to hit them. And so they're not allowed to be around him anymore. And right now, we're not going to allow you. And I think it's important for him to know that you are setting boundaries, even though he's going to hate you for them for right now. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
We are protecting you because that's our job. And the police officers or the courts or whatever one he's going to understand have said that daddy can't be around kids anymore. And I know this is so, so sad. Your daddy does love you very, very much. And he's getting the help that he needs, et cetera. And we'll go down that road. But I think it's important for him not just to dad suddenly start ghosting him. It's that daddy got in trouble and he did some things when he was angry that he shouldn't have. And for right now, we're not gonna be able to see him. And let that be that.
That makes sense.
Okay. And so we're going to keep it very facts are your friends, very surface level. What we're not going to do is go into 18 hours of explanations and we love you. And we're going to demonstrate that love through touch, through, hey, let's go get some dinner. We're going to go out. Where do you want to eat? Give him some, this is really important. Give him a moment of choice. Because you know what you're going to give him? When everything, he just lost control, you're going to give him a tiny piece of control back.
Okay.
So where do you want to go eat? And more importantly, where do you want to get ice cream after we eat?
All right.
And whose hand do you want to hold, mine or dad's? His dad's hands are huge, but they're scratchy, and mom's are soft. Well, you get to pick which one. And so we're going to, what music do you want to listen to in the car? And he may say nothing. He may go silent. He may have experienced this before. Maybe you ask him that question. Have you ever experienced dad when he got very, very angry? Was it scary? And if he says no, never, then great, cool. That may or may not be true, but we're giving him tiny pieces of control back in little pockets, and it's going to settle his sweet little 8-year-old soul down a tiny bit. I don't think that I would mention right now, without the presence of a counselor, that it was his sisters that got beat up.
Oh, okay.
Because he is going to then be about trying to, I've got to be with my sisters. And now you've got a whole other thing going on.
Okay.
My guess is he's had to protect them before. Okay. And he may need to see sisters, by the way. And if y'all can make that happen in any shape, form, or fashion, make it happen.
Okay.
Take them all to the movies, whatever. But he may need to put eyes on them, and I wouldn't take that from him if at all possible, if the courts allow that. But great question. So I rambled a lot at you. Here's the ultimate underlying things in a summary: facts are your friends. State it clearly, age appropriately, in a way that he can understand, but do it in a context of touch. Somebody's holding one hand, Moms, you've got your hand on the back of his neck that he feels safe because his body's going to take off on him. Ask him, has this ever happened to you before? Have you ever seen Daddy get angry? And if he doesn't want to answer that, great, cool. The third thing is, here's what we're going to do now. You're safe here with us. And then we're going to, sisters are going to stay with some folks right now, and they're going to keep them safe, and they're going to be loving. And where do you want to go eat? Okay, and then we're going to go from there. Okay?
All right.
Kyle, I take back all the mean things I said about Oklahomans. You've done your I was going to say you've done your country well. You've done your state well. Man, your kids are lucky to have you, brother, and the community's lucky to have you in it. To everybody listening, if there are kids in your world, whether they're your kids or others, and they show up with bruises, you stop everything, cancel everything, and make the calls. We'll be right back. Big secret. Almost all of us can control our thoughts. Yes, you can control your thoughts. You choose them. Most people believe thoughts randomly happen and that we have to give rent-free space to bad thoughts and scary thoughts and freaky thoughts. This is not true. Our world doesn't want you to know this because they want the privilege of owning your mind. No more. I want to teach you how to take back your thoughts. If you often find yourself lost in a tornado of toxic thoughts and anxiety and always on high alert, you'll have to be intentional about changing your thoughts, but it is 100% possible. In my new book, Own Your Past, Change Your Future, we'll walk through a not-so-complicated approach to mental health and wellness that includes learning how to reject harmful thoughts and cultivate thoughts that move you closer to who you want to be. So go to johndelony.com to take the next step towards wellness. That's Own Your Past, Change Your Future at johndelony.com. All right, as we wrap up today's show, this song is for the great and lovely and kind and incredibly good-looking Senior Associate Executive Czar, Blake Thompson, his favorite band of all time, REM. Shout out. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. And it goes like this. That's great. Starts with an earthquake, birds and snakes, an airplane, and Lenny Bruce, he's not afraid. I have a hurricane, listen to yourself churn. World serves its own needs. Don't misserve your own needs. Speed it up a notch, speed, grunt, no strength. The ladder starts to clatter with fear of height, down height. Wire in a fire representing 7 games. I don't even know what that means. And a government for hire in a combat site left of west. And coming in a hurry with the furies breathing down your neck. And a bunch of other words spoken really fast. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. And I hope you do too. We'll see you soon. Coming up on the next episode.
Students are, zoning out really fast. The phones are coming out. They're watching videos, texting friends, listening to music.
After 2 years, 3 years of absolute, complete, and total isolation, that phone has become their heartbeat. Are you nervous about being a military wife?
Yes.
So have you sat down and had an honest conversation with a military wife about that world, that life?
No, actually.
You should probably do that.